today's video, I want to go against the grain. I want to be a little bit counter-cultural. As Wizards of the Coast continue to push the price of Magic's commander sets and introductory products like pre-constructed decks higher and higher, with $80 minimum commander precons now being the thing they're trying to sell us, I wanted to instead say that. Let's look in the bargain bin. And I don't just mean the manky bargain bin with used copies of Gwyneth Paltrow's sliding doors just lying there looking at you. I mean budget cards that actually slap. Cards that are arguably staples. Things that you might not have considered picking up more copies off your decks because you didn't know they were this cheap. Some of the cards on this list do have 10, 20 or higher price tag variants, but all the cards on the list are available for less than $1 at time of recording. And if you want to buy Magic the Gathering cards, why don't you check out coolstuffing.com? Use the link in the description below or the code KENOBI at checkout to get 5% off your order. Let's start at the bottom and work our way up. That's not true, I'm not going to work my way up, but let's start with mana. Signets. That's right, signets. These things I remember being $3 or $4 a pop at one point or another, and they're all sub $1 now thanks to numerous reprints by Wizards of the Coast in multiple Commander products. This is me giving you the thumbs up. Please do this more. For example, with the Talismans. Talisman of Conviction, for example, is a red-white mana rock for 2 mana, which makes it absolutely banging. 2 mana rocks are great. The problem with the Talisman option is that the Progress, Impulse, and Indulgence, these are all $2, $3, or $4 because they've had far less reprints. And the Talismans are arguably a little bit better than the Signets. They fix your mana a bit worse because they can't churn 1 mana into a red and a green, for example, but they do allow you to tap them just for generic mana to hold them up, where Signets need mana to go into them. And all of these are cheaper than Cold Steel Heart, which has its upsides and its downsides. It comes into play tapped, but it can be any colour of mana you want. So in 3, 4, and 5 card decks, it's a bit better, but it's still now $2. And Thought Vessel is also a couple of bucks too. Talismans are great and Talismans are cheap. I'd pick them up if I were you. There's this weird thing, this weird tension where if they've been reprinted a load to make them cheaper, that's great. But sometimes Wizards of the Coast might then go a long time before reprinting it again. It's hard to say. Chaos Warp is another card that has at one time or another been over $10. Now, with 28 different variants and printings out there, Chaos Warp was a great example of a premium commander staple getting pushed down by successful reprints. Red as a colour really struggles to remove certain permanent types, namely enchantments. Chaos Warp gives you access to that, albeit with a small risk and reward aspect that doesn't feel too bad for the opponent. Sometimes they'll enjoy getting their thing Chaos Warped. Chaos Warp actually increases the level of fun in a game of Commander, which is unusual for a removal spell, because normally a removal spell makes everyone else have more fun by not losing, but makes the person getting hit by the removal spell feel a bit worse. Sometimes people will flip a sorcery and you will sigh a sigh of relief, because if it's not a permanent, it goes back to the top of the library and doesn't get cast or put into play. Other times they hit a fucking Eldrazi, and then there's a moment where you turn to camera and say, it was at this moment I realised I fucked up. It's such a versatile card, it can also give you an instant speed answer to lands too. Something that is few and far between in contemporary Magic. When we talk about budget options for Commander, we're often talking about things that are slightly worse than other versions of other cards, but in the case of Chaos Warp, nothing quite does what it does, especially being an instant speed removal spell that can hit lands too. Lastly, it allows you to re-buy one of your own things in a way. It allows you to roll the dice on your own permanent. Someone is removing your last blocker ready to swing for the win, and you fire off the Warp on your own creature to currently being targeted with that removal spell in order to roll the dice and try and hit a creature. And because it shuffles the thing in as well, if someone's trying to exile a one-off permanent that you know you can shoot it for again, you can shuffle it back in. Chaos Warp is great. Everyone should have fucking 50 copies of them all rolled up and stuck up their arse. No. What? Chaos Warp is great and people should always be utilising it, because the price is fucking low too. Let's talk about Terminate, Dispark, and Bedevil. 3 absolute premium pieces of removal that if you're playing CEDH, or you think you're playing CEDH, because some people think they're playing CEDH, when in reality they're just pub stomping their local store. But if you think you're playing CEDH, then obviously disregard everything I'm fucking saying in this part of the video, or any part of this video. This video is not for you. But Terminate, Dispark, and Bedevil are all incredibly strong and powerful versatile removal spells. And by versatile, I mean they hit a lot of shit. Terminate hits every single creature in the format, whilst Dispark will hit most problem permanents in the game. Sometimes they'll stop you from losing, but other times they'll secure you a victory. Playing more removal in Commander in general, especially powerful, versatile ones that cost less than $1. You thought we were done with mana rocks? Mind Stone. This is one that everyone knows about. Everyone should play Mind Stone. It's a very, very cheap, with physical money, and cheap mana rock at 2 mana. It makes you mana, and you can cash it in when you flood, and you can cash it in when you don't need the mana anymore, but you're looking for gas, and you aren't quite flooding. I don't know why I actually wrote that into the script, if I'm honest, because They're both basically the same sentence. When you don't need as much mana, you can cash it in. Jesus Christ, I am reeling this off because I am hungry. I should not record when I'm hungry. But move over, Mindstone. I want to talk about a pet card of mine. I want to get on my high horse for a moment. Commander Sphere is the same thing, but at 3 mana, which isn't quite the same thing. Anyway, it makes colors of mana instead of colorless, and thus is better for color-intensive commanders, and it also sacks after being tapped. So it will make mana on the turn that you actually cash it in, where Mindstone requires you to actually put mana into it to do so. It can also be cashed in whilst it's tapped from a previous activation. So if you pass the turn and someone Vandal blasts the board, you can sack your Commander Sphere to get a card draw here, which is pretty strong. It's even better if you can recur it. Coming more to that in a moment. There's this weird mentality that 3 mana rocks are unplayable as we race towards efficiencies. I've been told this is a command zone talking point that's rippled through and outward in the community, but I'll be honest, I can't confirm or deny that because I don't watch their videos. But 3 mana rocks are playable. Hell, they're incredibly playable if they have an extra bit of utility strapped onto them, as is the case of Chromatic Lantern or Command Sphere. They are slower for sure, but let's be honest, most of us aren't playing CDH. And drawing cards is good. On the topic of recurring it, Sun Titan. Here comes the sun, little doggy. It's Sun Titan, another pet card of mine. It's the best of the Titan cycle. And that includes Primeval Titan in that conversation because it's currently stuck in Naughty Boy jail, being teased by a Dockside Extortionist who, at the time of writing, still evaded all authorities and is still rampaging across the continent in a top-down convertible, pissing into the wind and shitting treasures all over the shop. Sun Titan, much like Flicker Wisp that he could also recur, is like a key, a little engine, a value engine that will often end up doing things you never thought possible in the white part of the colour pie pre-2019. Buy it, you slag. Wouldn't it be funny if I just owned a lot of Sun Titans and that, oh, I need these cards, and that's why I'm doing this video. MTG Finance Insider Trading. Sometimes it's good to have cards that do a really weird niche little thing. Sometimes it's good to have cards that do 3 really weird little niche things. That's why the charms were invented. The best charm is Rakdos Charm. It destroys an artifact like perhaps Paradox Engine before it was unjustly taken from us. Press F to pay your respects. I salute you, Paradox Engine. Dicks out for Paradox Engine. I'm joking, by the way. I think Paradox Engine was banned justly. I just wanted to say dicks out for Paradox Engine. Besides blowing up Great Henges or other artifacts that aren't currently banned, it can also exile someone's graveyard in response to a reanimation spell or a combo going off, or if someone pops off with tokens or a Splinter Twin style combo, you can get to one-shot them by making all those creatures deal 1 damage to their controllers. And there's also some bonus points here too. For example, if there are creatures in play with lifelink, when they ping their owners, you get a bit of life too. So if an opponent attacks with a whole board of lifelinkers, you can gain enough life to survive the swing, for example. There's a bonus achievement unlocked if you manage to kill 2 players at a commander table with a Rakdos Charm, and there's also a further achievement, a platinum trophy if you will, if you kill all 4 players, including yourself. Okay, we're getting to the bottom of the barrel shit now that you didn't know existed or have never thought about playing, but what about Whirlwind of Thought? This card makes every non-creature spell you play a cantrip. It fucking raw dogs value and will make you the arch enemy of the table. It's good in spell-based combo, artifact-based combo, it's good in generic value pile spell slinger decks, and it's fucking ace if you want to be the control deck, the table police deck, because now each removal spell and counter spell and even the wrath effect that you play now cantrips. The downside, of course, is that you are in Jeskai colors like a fucking loser, but you also have to play what is effectively a 4-mana do-nothing early on in the game. But if you get to untap with this, it's a solid bit of fun. I'd buy that for $1. Shamanic Revelations is a card that I'm always beyond stunned when I see that it's sub $1. This is a bargain bin card that is a card draw payoff for big go-wide creature decks, obviously being pushed to the extreme with token decks. Getting to unconditionally draw a card for each creature in play is actually a rarity in Magic, with the closest in card text being Collective Unconscious, a 6-mana sorcery without the second life gain clause of Shamanic Revelation. And due to this card being reprinted less than Shamanic Revelation, it's actually dearer on average across its various printings, averaging around $2. That's kinda wild, right? Shamanic Revelations is a budget version of Regal Force, without the advantage of it being a creature that can be recurred or naturally ordered into, but in addition to that, don't forget, Shamanic Revelation is 2 mana cheaper than the Regal Force. And it doesn't just care about green creatures, it cares about all colours too, making it functionally better in a lot of situations. Shamanic Revelations is again a really interesting one like Chaos Warp, where it is a budget card that I think more people should own, pick up and play. It's incredibly powerful in Commander, but it's not budget because it's worse than an existing or more powerful staple. It is quite literally the best in class at what it does. And lastly, let's lose some friends and alienate people who wouldn't want to kill one artifact, one creature, one enchantment and one land for the low price of $1 and 4 mana. This card can spread the love around, blowing up one thing under each player's control and 2 under one particularly scary opponent's control too, or you could absolutely make an enemy for the rest of the Commander night by firing off all of the modes at the same player like some kind of mad sadist. Now this is all glorious in terms of getting a lot of value out of one card and mining a little bit of salt, but there is an interesting bit you need to be aware of and think of when playing this card. Keep in mind that Decimate needs all 4 targets to be castable. You can't cast it for just 3 modes. It's not modal, it's not up to, it is 4 targets. So there's a rare occasion where there won't be an enchantment in play, but this is Commander and that is a rarity. People keep telling me that Dockside Extortionist isn't good at casual level or lower power levels because people don't play enchantments or that many rocks, and they say this as they're sleeving up their soul rings or clutching their smothering tides to their chests, and I just laugh. Because there's loads of shit out there that gets played. I was at a casual night of Commander the other night at the local store, and some fucker played a Mystic Remora, which I just found really funny because I've always associated with higher power level games. People play whatever they fucking open, and there's a lot of powerful enchantments and artifacts these days. On occasion, you might need to blow up your own enchantment, artifact, or creature because it's the only one in play in order to cast this. But there's an inherent upside to all of that. That makes you the fucking hero. You are the arbiter of true fairness. You cast a 4 destruction spell, and you're one of the people having to take that destruction. That's pretty good. No one's going to complain after that. And the most beautiful thing about Decimate that people don't talk about enough is that there's a political element to it too. You can cast it, and as you're declaring your targets, you can discuss with the table what land, what enchantment, what artifact, and what creature do we need dead table. And it creates an absolute uproar of political play that is one of the best things about Commander. And if you're sitting there, my friend, and you're thinking, I can't play this because it destroys a land and my playgroup will lose their minds, then you need to work to unravel or unwind that weird preconception with your playgroup. Targeted removal of lands is good, actually. A pinpoint cruise missile, if one of your team or one of your playgroup are playing Field of the Dead, or Gaia's Cradle, or Cabal Coffers, or any of that shit, is very good. People should play that stuff for those reasons. And if one person is way ahead, if they're playing green and they've ramped 4 or 5 lands and you haven't, or maybe they've got 20 treasures in play, blowing up one of their lands is just one way to interact with that board state. The mass adoption of the idea that we can't blow up lands as a byproduct has made green a better colour in Commander, because land-based ramp never goes punished. There you go, you got a land destruction ramp at the end of it. That's a free one. Or maybe I'll expand into a full video. Anyway, there's my 9 or 10, I forget how many there were, but I'll say it in the title. There's my 9 or 10 budget picks for Commander. Cards that are obviously good, and everyone knows they're good, but people might not realize that they're sub $1 right now. Is there a budget Magic card that I did not include in this that you want to tell me about in the comment section that might make it into the sequel to this video? Let me know in the comment section below, and if you're picking up singles or sealed product, link to Cool Stuff Inc is down there in the description too. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. So ta for now.